Test. I will call to order the regular scheduled city council meeting for Monday, July the 20th, 2026 at approximately 7:03 p.m. Let the records reflect that Councilman Matney, Councilwoman King, Councilman Rayling, Councilman Reynolds are present in the chamber along with myself, Mayor. Mr. Allgood and Mr. Stingback were out of town. So appreciate that. Plus, I appreciate the large audience tonight. As the word got out, just how great we are up here, and look at the people we attracted. I bet you there's some youth involved there. So thank you for being here. Also for our department heads sitting in the very back, thank you for being here as well, along with our citizens and our chamber representative here. And so it's good to have them with us tonight also. Our invocation and pledge of allegiance would be Mr. Matney.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd invite anybody who would like, please bow your heads. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here, and may we listen to each other more than we talk. May the decisions that we make tonight be pleasing in your sight, and may we continue working to build a city that glorifies you, Lord. These things we ask in your name. Amen. And anybody who can and would like, please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Matney. Next item on our agenda is our proclamation. So I'm going to come down there. Proclamation. One of the highlights of this job is this, being native to South Carolina and native to city of Mauldin, having come up through the rec program myself. Yeah, we did have full uniforms back then too. The only one older than me probably is our recreation president or chairman, Mr. Bart Kumalander. So Bart, and he was on a first name basis with Moses. So Bart, if you'll come on up here and join me, along with Mr. Willie Stewart. This is why I like this job. I get the best kick out of picking on Bart. Yeah, Bart and my son actually played rec football together. And actually, Bart was considered my son, because he was like a twin. When you see Stephen, you see Bart, and they always confused them. But let me read this. Mauldin Rec 10U flag football. Whereas Mauldin Rec 10U flag football all-star team won the 2026 SCAP state flag football championship on Sunday, June the 14th versus Fort Mill in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And whereas on Saturday, June the 13th, the opening day of the SCAP state flag football tournament, 10U Mauldin won 3 straight games in sweltering conditions versus first time I talk so long, I run it back. There we go. Got it. So Rock Hill, Seneca, and Greenwood to advance to the state championship game versus Fort Mill on Sunday, June the 14th. And whereas after losing the first double elimination game, 10U Mauldin bounced back and won in a 13-0 shutout versus Fort Mill. And whereas we give special recognition to coaches Joseph Gant, Dominic Mosley, and Stonewall Randolph for winning the SCAP state flag Football Championship as Mauldin Rec All-Star coaches for 3 years in a row. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Terry Merritt, Mayor of the City of Mauldin, along with my fellow council members, do hereby proclaim that we are proud of the Mauldin 10U Flag Football All-Star Team and recognize them for winning the 2026 SCAP State Flag Football Championship presented this 20th day of July 2026. So if I could get the coaches to come on up.
Gentlemen, when your name's called, please come up here. We're gonna get some pictures for mom and daddy. So when your name's called, just come on up, okay?
Okay. We have Josiah Mosley. Carmelo Oliver. Athis Heislick. Dresden Dean. Brayton Sellers. Mason Gant. Ashton Hill. Christopher King. Cordell Mattress. Milo Mercadante.
Gentlemen, congratulations. That was a huge feat. And Rocky will back up for me a little bit. All right, moms and dads, if you'd like to come up and take some pictures, that'd be awesome. Willie, would you take some pictures as well?
Oh no. Turn the light on. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda is a chamber presentation. Appreciate y'all being here. Go ahead, Kent.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to take a moment tonight. Well, my name is Kent Thompson, Chairman of Mauldin Chamber of Commerce 2026. Good evening. I would like to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for your continued support. City of Mauldin and thank you, Mauldin Chamber. Working together allows us to create meaningful connections, support our local communities, businesses, and strengthen the relationships between commerce and the community. We are grateful for the encouragement and the support you can continue to provide. The Chamber has a very active year so far. We've had many opportunities ahead for business and community members to connect. In August, which will include several ribbon cuttings, chamber night at the Greenville Drive, educational lunch and learns, and the quarterly manufacturing excellent breakfast. Looking ahead, we are also excited about the annual oyster roast at Bridgeway Station on October 8th, as well as our Christmas events and annual banquet in December. We will be honored to have you join us whenever your schedule allows. And of course, we would like to see you all in our parade on December the 5th. Most importantly, thank you for the continued partnership, encouragement, and the commitment to the Mauldin community. We truly appreciate all that you guys do. Thank you guys so much.
Next item before council is the reading and approval of the minutes for June the 15th, 2026. Everybody had a chance to review those. And now's the time to note any corrections, clarifications, adjustments. If not, I would ask for unanimous. I will. Any opposing views? Hearing none, I'll accept them via unanimous consent. Next item, City Council Workshop of July the 6th, 2026. Also, you have seen those minutes. Any adjustments, clarifications? Hearing none, no opposing views. We'll accept those as submitted via unanimous consent. All right, I keep forgetting. Is there anyone online? No. Okay, thank you. I should have done that. Next item on our agenda is public comment on agenda-based items. Just some quick little rules here. We do have someone signed up. Recognize that. Did fill out the speaker log, signed up, got it noted there, so all that part is taken care of. I'd ask you not to exceed 5 minutes, please. And then if you're, well, there's no one signed up for non-agenda items, so we will skip that section. The only one I would have would, and we don't ever have a problem with that here in the city of Mauldin, is proper decorum must be observed by members of council, by speakers, and by the audience. Presiding officer shall keep control of the meeting and require the speakers and the audience to refrain from abusive and profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, applause, protests, or other conduct that disrupts or interferes with the orderly conduct of the business of the meeting. Personal attacks on council members, city staff, or members of the public are not allowed. It is inappropriate to use a public hearing or the public comment period for the purposes of making political speeches, including threats of political action. Engaging in such conduct and failing to cease with such conduct on the request of the mayor will be grounds for ending a speaker's time at the podium or for removal of any disruptive person from the meeting room at the direction of the presiding officer. With that said, I believe Mr. Mr. Yonover, you've signed up to speak, I believe, on the comp plan. If you'd come to the speaker, the microphone, be sure is on. State your name and address, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Michael Yanover, 105 Meadowwood Drive here in Mauldin. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Mayor and council members, for this few minutes. I thought I only had 2 from the last time, as you might remember us from our prior activities, but unfortunately, I missed the first public comment on the comprehensive plan. I was working and volunteering off the coast of Maine. I'm not bragging, but maybe I am a little bit. So hope everybody's had a good summer. The comprehensive plan, I put down that I oppose partly. I understand it's really just a couple of things and maybe some not understanding how all of it's going to go down. But I didn't get a chance to hear the first public comment or any discussions on it. So first of all, I wanted to just give an appreciation. I know it's a necessary thing to do. It looks like you're trying to read a bill from Congress. It's a lot of material in there, and I certainly appreciate everybody's efforts that went into it wholeheartedly. And I know I'm proud to live in Mauldin, and I appreciate everything that the council does to improve that and keep that going. So that said, just from looking at it, it looks like part of the plan that talks about land use talks a lot about, generally looks like a wholesale upscaling of what can be done on a lot of the property in Mauldin. And I may have misinterpreted, but even going down to suburban residential, where even prior districts that would be residential look like they could be cleared for what now looks like OD, almost like a residential plus churches plus some institutions. And certainly our property on Meadowwood Drive, which you may remember us from having a lot of issues with potential changes to that property, would be potentially community activity corridor, which would then upscale it again from what we fought pretty hard to try to reduce impacts to our neighborhood. So I'm not sure how the link between the land use and then the regulatory alignment, as it's stated in the plan, happens, whether that's just done by council, whether there's meetings and approvals, more public comment, or if some of those go through additional public comment sections, et cetera. But, it looks like in the plan, step 1 of their plan was regulatory alignment. Step 2 was infrastructure improvements. And would just like to point out, I know it's a broken record, but, on the community feedback page, I remember attending that session. If you look at what the community's concerns are, and again, this is broken record from if you follow social media on Facebook and those kinds of things, infrastructure, overdevelopment, roads, traffic. So my first, I'll say complaint, I don't mean it that harshly, but it looks like we're putting, hey, let's slam through regulatory alignment, let's rezone everything, let's change all our districts, and then we'll work on the backup of infrastructure improvement, where I'm not speaking for the city of Mauldin, but it feels like I would speak that it sounds like a lot of people would say, hey, what can we do about infrastructure first before we continue to green stamp or stamp more development activity, especially a wholesale upgrading of it. So that would be my main concern. I would always argue for, and I hope that we get to the point when that's where not understanding. I'd like the council to maybe spend a few minutes when you discuss it, just to maybe explain that about how the plan would be to that regulatory alignment and the upgrading of the districts or whatever the plans are. But I would argue for more granularity on districts, not less. I would hope that you would still retain purely residential or what looks more like what we fought for OD, instead of moving them all up. And I would hope that there continues to be more public comment and input into it. I'm not sure, I don't know why there's not a lot of people here talking about it. If what I feel like is the case, then maybe people misunderstood. I certainly understand that the council followed the procedure for public advisement for 30 days. Seems like some big deals like this maybe require a little bit extra effort to try to get the public out here and make sure that they understand what the changes really are going to be. I got a sneaking suspicion that maybe a lot of people don't really realize what the plans are to upgrade a lot of the districts and lots. So that was really what I wanted to do, that I just basically just oppose a wholesale upgrading of all the land use. And then depending on the treatment of that, how that goes into effect, unless it has a little bit more discretion and a little bit more involvement of the public, then I would certainly be opposed to it. But I appreciate the efforts of working on the plan, and a lot of it looks great, to be honest. I just want to make sure that that our needs are met, and that the community still has some say in their quality of life and some of the things that impact them, like on that survey and the community feedback session where their concerns certainly, and our concerns are traffic and overcrowding and overdevelopment. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. I would ask our city administrator, when we get to the comp plan discussion, if you and David would kind of give an overview and recognize what the comp plan is versus what the planning process is still in place. Thank you, sir. I believe that was our only public comment. What we've all been waiting for,
That's right.
a report from our city administrator.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Love that enthusiasm. All right. So summer might be winding down, but the city's event schedule is heating up. Amped up Friday.
Don't do that again.
All right. So Amped Up Fridays. We only have 2 Friday nights left of our great concerts. This week we've got Trey Duncan, no relation, but it's going to be a great time for all. He'll be on the stage at the Mauldin Theater, or excuse me, Amphitheater starting at 6:30, and then next week we'll have Randomonium to close out our summer concert series on July 31st, and of course everyone will want to come out for our fireworks. It's going to be great food, fun, and music, so come on out. Then this weekend, Saturday is actually there's a public event going on that the city's not hosting, but we are kind of hosting. So we're not involved in the organization of it, but they're going to be out at Sunset Park, organized by Josh Knuckles. There's a 16. It's the food truck festival at Sunset Park. 16 food trucks, craft vendors, music, and more. There's a $10 entry fee with tickets available at mauldinfoodtruckfestival.eventbrite.com. The family-friendly event will run from noon until 8 p.m., and there will not be alcohol served at that event. Then in a couple of weeks, we've got National Night Out on Tuesday, August 4th, starting at 5 p.m. The annual event will feature fire trucks and police vehicles, a canine demonstration, music, dance performances, and fun for the whole family. Also including, we'll have a petting zoo out there, bounce houses, balloon art, face painting, and free food and drinks will also be available while supplies last. I guess we'll have a great opportunity to enjoy the evening with friends and neighbors, but also with our wonderful officers of both the Mauldin Police Department and some of our fire department members as well. Then right now, Mauldin Recreation Department registration is now open for the city's fall adult softball league. Open until August 8th. This new rec league is open to those aged 18 and up, with games being played on Monday and Wednesday evenings for a total of 7 regular season games. Also, a 3-on-3 basketball tournament is being organized by Mauldin Rec. For those aged 18 and up, registration is open until August 5th, with games being played on August 8th and 9th. Teams of up to 4 players can register now, and we hope to have 8 teams for the tournament in August. And then last, I just want to mention season 10 for the Mauldin Theater Company is about to kick off with Pippin, presented by Wow Fiber Internet, starting August 14th and running until August 30th. Tickets are available at mauldinculturalcenter.org. And Pippin, for those who don't know, is the story of an heir to the Frankish throne. The young Prince Pippin is in search of a secret to true happiness and fulfillment. He seeks it in the glories of the battlefield and temptations of the flesh and the intrigues of political power. In the end, though, Pippin finds that happiness lies not in extraordinary endeavors, but rather in the unextraordinary moments that happen every day. So we'll hope folks come out for that, and we're excited about all the things that are coming up in the end of summer and into the fall. That's my report, sir.
Thanks, sir. Report from standing committees, our economic plan development, Mr. Madney.
I don't know how you'd top Mr. Duncan, so I'm not even going to try.
I would say take a deep, deep breath. Public safety, Ms. Gaines.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, we actually have one thing that wasn't mentioned. I can scratch off the National Night Out. She did a much more detailed job in telling about that. So we encourage everyone to come out. Also would like to recognize our Mauldin Police Explorers program. Yeah, say that 3 times. They last weekend, I believe, participated at West Palm Beach for a Code Blue competition. And as they always do, they brought back 2 first place trophies, one in domestic violence and the second in force on force. And then one of our explorers, Eli, received a special award for Best Cone Inspector. So you can find out all that information and some really good pictures on the Mauldin Police Department Facebook page. So congratulations to everyone who participated in that in Florida last week. Thank you.
Good works, Mr. Crayling.
Nothing to report except it's very hot outside. Noticed.
Thank you, sir. Newsflash. Finance and Policy, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're about 19 days into a new budget year and everybody's bragging about how good their budgets are in shape. So that's all we have on this end.
Thank you, sir. Recreation, the chairman is not present and neither is another member. Mr. Reynolds, would you like to step up?
Recreation is in great shape. It's really hot outside.
Thank you, sir. Business and Development Services, the same thing. Chairman is not here, another member. So Mr. Matney will step in.
Mr. Steenbeck sends his best.
Thank you, sir. Got that. Next item on our agenda is unfinished business, second reading of the comp plan. Normally that would be Mr. Steenbeck, who's not here.
He's asked that I take BDS in his absence, with Mr. Allgood also not being in attendance.
All right, before, I believe he has remarks that he has submitted. Our council rules do not allow for council members not present to submit written remarks to be read in the open assembly or posted in the minutes. Robert Rule of Order says it would be up to the discretion of the chair, me. I personally feel because it's a elected official, I am going to ask for consent of the assembly to allow these remarks to be read into the minutes and submitted for publication in that, if it's the pleasure of the consent of the council. So I will ask for consent of council as stated, and I'll ask it by a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 But Mayor, this is for the comp plan. This isn't for the penny.
This is, did I jump the gun?
Yes, sir.
I jumped the gun. Hold on. Everything I said, keep it in mind. I'll say it again. Sorry about that. So comprehensive, back to the unfinished business, second reading of the comprehensive plan adoption, Mr. Matney.
Thank you, Mayor. Move that we adopt an ordinance to adopt the Mauldin Comprehensive Plan.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second for Ms. King. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, did
Mr.
you want me to explain the difference between?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and give us a quick overview
Yes, sir.
on what we're doing.
So the state of South Carolina requires the city to develop a new comprehensive plan at least every 10 years and to review that plan at least every 5 years. On December 21, 2023, City Council approved benchmark planning to provide consultation services for the city's strategic plan and comprehensive plan. Benchmark began planning first with City Council and City Administration, the development of strategic plan. Then we worked on the comprehensive plan. In the most basic sense, a comprehensive plan is a document or a series of documents for guiding the future development of a city or other jurisdiction and is based upon the stated long-term goals and objectives of the community. It is not a comprehensive overhaul of zoning, and so it does not look at a parcel by parcel view or make any changes. It does rather suggest 10 different elements that are required to be adopted as part of the comprehensive plan process. And so, excuse me, with that, we began this process over a year ago, and we working with the community, but also the Planning Commission. And back in May of this year, the Planning Commission voted 6-0 to approve a resolution recommending the adoption of the draft comprehensive plan presented in this committee and City Council. We've had additional meetings on this, had benchmark out here last month to kind of walk through the base elements of the plan. And so tonight we're looking at second reading for final adoption of the comprehensive plan. Now, one of the things that we are going to be working on next is looking at a zoning overhaul. which is a more comprehensive, I shouldn't use the word comprehensive. It's a more thorough look at a parcel by parcel, both current utilization and potential future utilization to see if there is a better alignment for, with regards to the comprehensive plan, but also looking at how we want each of the various zoning districts to be defined and characterized in code. And so that work will begin next and will be led by Mr. Deerhog, who, there you are. Did you want to add anything else to what I contributed just then?
He moseyed to the front for a reason.
No, Mr. Duncan did a great job of highlighting that. So I was just going to also just clear up some misunderstanding, but Mr. Duncan's done that largely. Like he said, the comprehensive plan is just taking broad strokes. Does not get down into the granular level, which other regulations like zoning and such does. I think one of the other questions that was brought up here tonight is why is regulatory, why are we looking at that first before we get into infrastructure? And it's actually quite simple because we need to look at the regulatory standards for infrastructure and how that gets improved and upgraded. And I imagine that part of what we'll look at is there more opportunity for developers to assist in some of the improvements that are needed to infrastructure? So that needs to be part of the regulatory review that we do as a follow-up to the comprehensive plan. But Mr. Duncan's right. This is not doing any automatic rezoning or upzoning or anything like that. Paints maybe a vision of what things could be, but when it comes to the land use, that's really kind of looked at a much higher level, and you're looking at only like what's kind of the general character of a specific corridor might be, and that's what this gets into.
Other questions? All right. Other questions? I'll call all those in favor of the motion to adopt on second reading the comp plan as submitted, say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. All right. Now, back to the ordinance of first reading, committee of the whole, well, that's to be decided here. Why don't we get it opened up and then I'll read this again, kind of thing.
Mayor, move that we consider the next item, committee of the whole, via the informal method.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Matney to consider via the informal method. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Reynolds. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, like sign. We will consider the next item, 1% sales tax referendum ordinance via the informal method. At which time now I'd ask council to consider allowing for submitted remarks by a council person to be read into the minutes at the comment time. But it would be up to the consent of count of this assembly. So that is my request for consent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we will allow that. And I'll ask Mr. Duncan, you can read that in when we get to the comment side, if you will, if we get that far. So right now, we're going to consider the 1% sales tax referendum via the informal method. Mr. Reynolds?
Mr. Mayor, can we have discussion on this item before a motion is presented? Because we're in formal method.
Need a motion on the table before we can start discussion.
All right. Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion. I'm scrolling. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve on first reading the referendum or the ordinance of the 1% sales tax referendum ordinance.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Reynolds. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Matney. Discussion. Mr. Do you have some discussion?
I do, but I can wait.
You want to go ahead and read Mr. Steinbach's?
You want to do that,
You
sir? Or
do
would you
it.
like me to introduce what this is all about? Would that be?
Sure.
Just do an introduction and then we'll carry on from there. Okay. So back in May, for those who may not have had a chance to or opportunity to attend the workshop earlier this month, we discussed that back in May, South Carolina enacted the Municipal Tax Relief Act, which allows for the imposition of a 1% sales tax within a municipality for property tax relief and infrastructure improvements. The act is modeled or is modeled after similar countywide optional sales tax programs and must be approved by referendum. So simply the mechanics of what is being considered tonight is first reading of an ordinance that, if adopted at second reading on August 3rd, would then go onto the ballot this November for consideration by the electorate of the city to impose an additional 1% sales tax. Now, this law that was just passed does require that 20% of the funds generated from this 1% go to property tax relief for owner-occupied residents. And it also requires that as part of the referendum language for us to specifically identify where those dollars will be spent. And so tonight, for consideration, staff along with bond counsel has prepared a draft ordinance. In that draft ordinance, it does stipulate or have some highlighted sections. Those sections are optional should council want to move forward both with the penny referendum and the option to bond out up to the amount presented. So as we were able to get additional information back from the Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office, we did find that, as presented in the packet, that the 1% local optional municipal sales tax would generate approximately $24.8 million over an 8-year period, of which the Department of Revenue would assess or collect or retain a 1% fee off of the revenues collected, which would mean that the city would net about $24.5 million in revenue. Now, with that and a minimum of the minimally required 20% tax relief, which is just under $5 million, that would leave the city with a capital projects budget of about $19.6 million. Now, earlier when staff presented potential options, project options, we included a lot of different things that are in our capital improvement plan. After speaking with bond counsel and kind of really getting into the nitty gritty details of the statute, staff is now revising its recommendation away from because the law specifically says that these are for core governmental services. It's easy to reach and say transportation infrastructure, capital projects related to public safety are easy projects that could be utilized or could be funded with this funding program. However, it would be a more difficult argument to say parks or recreation facilities. While it is a core function of what we do here at the city of Mauldin, it may be a more difficult project to defend if challenged. And so based upon that recommendation, what we then are presenting now instead is if council moves forward with this and the funding is realized of $19.5 million, $19.6 million, then our advice would be to allocate about $15.6 million towards the city's resurfacing program and $4 million for Fire Station 5. And with that, in your packet is the list of all the roads that were recently identified in our pavement condition index score of 70 or less. And essentially, we could have up to 15.6 million, maybe more, if economic conditions continue to, do well towards those road improvements in that list there. Now, with that, council could say, we'd rather just see it all towards roads and nothing to the Fire Station 5, which is perfectly fine. Then we just do all 19.6. One little caveat I want to throw in there as well is that if council chooses to adopt it with the bond language, that we bond no more than approximately 75% of the funds that we expect to receive. For two reasons. One, this would be a new tax, and because new things that you bond out before you have a history of revenue collection tend to generate a higher interest rate when it comes to issuance for those. And also, just because we predict based on RFA revenue data that we'll achieve $19.6 million in project funding, it's best to kind of give ourselves some wiggle room just in case there's an economic slowdown or the projections with their annual increases or growth index isn't quite hitting the same mark as reality. So with that, the recommendation would be to only bond out about 75% of the revenue we expect to collect. That's my overview. Thank you, sir.
All right, if you would, since you're on a roll, take a swallow of water. If you would read Mr. Steenbach's submitted remarks concerning the 1 penny sales tax process.
Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Steenbeck sent me 4 items here. Council's also provided a copy of this. First is timing, the unfortunate position, and I'm reading as a direct quote. The unfortunate position that the state has put us in means that we're having to rush through this process. Very rarely does rushing through something mean that you end up with the best product. This compressed timeline we're working to hit makes me concerned that we're going to be able to have the time needed to accomplish our due diligence. 2, if we're going to allocate all the undesignated funds to paving city-owned roads, then if we don't already have one, I'd like to see a list created of the actual road staff believe we will be able to get to with this money. 3, I do support giving the residents the opportunity to weigh in on and make their own decision about it. And we need to make sure that we're being as clear and transparent as possible about how it will be used, especially since the timeline is so compressed and that there's still so much confusion around what roads we're actually able to address and what most of the roads that we all know need to be dealt with are not under our jurisdiction. And then 4, I personally, and this is again quoting Mr. Steenbeck, would like to see some of the unassigned designated funds used for one of the other projects that staff brought to us, like the park improvements, so that the impact of the tax can benefit as many citizens as possible. And that's it.
That's good. All right, thank you. So we enter those to the minutes. Now open for comment. Other,
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Reynolds.
discussion time. Thank you. I should have asked for that before I made the motion. That was a little bit what I was getting at when I said have some discussion. But rather than me read through that, I should have had you read through that before I made a motion, is what I was getting at. A couple of items, and this is something I'm frankly just ignorant to it. So if the law allows us to put it as referendum, does it also allow us to decide what constitutes the plurality? So in other words, is it 50% plus 1, or can we then set it and say, we believe that if 60% of the votes plus 1 agree to this referendum, then then we would move forward with it?
I'd have to check. I don't know.
Truth be told, I intended on checking myself beforehand, and I just didn't have time.
I think it is a
And I think that's why
majority vote based on voter approval. They would decide, just like you decide as a body, whether to pass the ordinance. Referendum would succeed if greater than 50% of the voters decide to pass it.
Yeah.
But we can double check that. I don't recall any language in the legislation that would contradict that.
That's one item I had. Okay. So the other thing, thinking through on this one, it stipulates that we have to do at minimum 20% back to owner-occupied units. Is that solely owner-occupied units?
Yes, sir.
Or is there, we can't branch that past?
Right. No, just it's owner. Well, it says owner occupied. Well, it actually references the code section that says owner occupied.
What is defined as owner-occupied? Okay.
Right.
Okay. Not debating here, but the list of projected roads in there is pretty extensive. It's a long list, which I think is important when it's on the referendum, if it passes, if it's on the referendum, to literally list out the roads, not generally.
So on advice at council, it's not going to be listed that way, simply because the way that it's structured within the state statute, it's structured a certain way that you have to, let me try to pull up that ordinance real quick. So in the ordinance, it's specific in how it's supposed to be structured. The ballot question is, or in the statute, which is reflected in the ordinance.
The highlighted section. Yep.
And so it says 15 point, right now, as drafted, it says 15.6 million for city road infrastructure improvements, including repaving, drainage systems, curbs, and sidewalks. And then 4 million for a new fire station project.
So the other thought I have on, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. King. I'm just discussing since somebody else is. So
Oh, just to interject, I think in seeing what,
Ms. King.
I'm sorry, and seeing what other municipalities have done just in the last couple of days in putting out information to the residents on what the 1% tax is for and in their particular municipality, what it'll go to, streets, as an example. I think that that's something that we can do as well. Mr. Duncan and I briefly talked about that, but just to be as transparent as we can, literally have a link that explains what the referendum is and list the roads that would be impacted with that 70 or below rating, that would be the first to be paved. So the information would be out there for us to guide our residents to be able to get all the information on this referendum that they could get. Correct, Mr. Duncan?
Yes, ma'am. And actually, the website, don't know if the link is fully live, but it should be live, and it will be live, if not tomorrow morning. And so I had asked to go ahead and make it live already today, but we may have held off for the project list. So that's what the only last piece we were waiting on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the draft and it looks good.
I also think it would have been jumping the gun to create a website before we had first reading at council. Once there's some movement and there's something to actually post, then it makes more sense to do it. I think everybody's gut feeling was that it would take a majority vote, as legal counsel noted. And Section F of the Act says that all qualified electors desiring to vote in favor of imposing the tax for the stated purpose shall vote yes, and all qualified electors opposed to levying the tax shall vote no. If a majority of the votes cast are in favor of imposing the tax, then the tax is imposed as provided in this chapter and the enacting ordinance.
that question.
Anyone else? Ms. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to summarize a little of what I said in the workshop, I think it would behoove us not to forward to approve this on first reading, as it is a referendum, giving our residents the opportunity to vote yes or no on this, versus the 7 of us that sit here. I just firmly believe that it's something our residents need the opportunity to vote on, versus, again, us making that decision. And as stated in the workshop, if you look at the map from 2024, when Greenville County had the 1% penny tax on the ballot, the majority of the city of Mauldin voted in favor of the penny tax. So that just is, another fact backing the statement that, once again, we need to bring this to our residents, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that we support it or we don't support it. It's just that for me personally, I feel like the people that we represent need to have that opportunity to make that decision.
If I may, I try to keep things simple for my little brain. The legislature has given municipalities such as City of Mauldin one more tool in our toolbox to address infrastructure. So if we pass on first reading and second reading the 1 cent sales tax, it still goes to the voters. So just because we pass it, that just says we think here's a way to approach it. Here's the projections, the best we have. And we think it's something our citizens ought to weigh in on. So they do get if the citizens vote no, then you don't get 1 cent sales tax on that. And we're back to the drawing board on how best to continue addressing our roads and our infrastructure, which we hear over and over and over about. So the voters will get the decision ultimately. This is just a tool in our toolbox that we're saying we'll accept or don't accept. I applaud the South Carolina legislature for getting it out there and recognizing that if there's anybody close to our citizens on a day-to-day basis, it's your local municipality, your local elected people. We all live in the city of Mauldin. Most of us shop in the city of Mauldin. We're at Amped Up Friday night. We're approachable. We hear from our citizens. My wife likes to say it used to take her 30 minutes to buy groceries. Now, when I go with her, it takes an hour and a half. Because I'm stopped and asked about questions. And that's okay. That's what we put our hand on the Bible and took this oath of office. So that I'm trying to keep it real simple. We're not going, if we do this on first reading and second reading, it's just saying it's going to be on the ballot for our citizens to vote on. It's not saying it's going to be the law. And and there's other municipalities that are considering the same thing. So the projection I see, the numbers you heard tonight is based on an 8-year projection. So, I like the fact that our administration, I think this council takes a physical conservative approach to most things. So, we could say, oh, yeah, based on that, we can get $19 million. We'll go ahead and bond out $19 million. We don't do that. And you heard that even at 75%, and that'll be a discussion for all of us also. So just keep that in mind before you post on media that this council raised taxes. It's not what this is doing. It's just saying we're considering one more bullet in our, that's not a good analogy, one more item in our basket of things available for us. So we take it from that standpoint. With that, anyone else? Mr. Crayland.
Be a little less colorful than I was last time. Because I was a little upset. Where I really, I totally understand where everybody's coming from, that letting the folks vote on this to determine if they're going to get a 17% increase in their sales tax. And we read this Municipal Tax Relief Act. Makes it sound like, well, we're going to substitute sales tax for your property tax. We're part of it. And I'd be all in favor of that. But we're giving them back 20%. Basically, we're saying we're going to raise 25 million. You're going to get 5 million back. We're going to call that a relief. I just have a problem with that. It's a sales. It's kind of like saying tobacco might actually be good for you. I don't like it. So I'll be voting no against it, but I do want to state everyone here on council, I think pretty much they're not, what the mayor said, we're not talking about raising taxes. We're giving the option to people to vote if they want that done. The roads are in better shape than most cities because we've been taking action. I think we can find a way to deal with the roads that we have. But if you want really good, top-notch roads, this is one way to get it, to be honest. And a lot of the roads that you see that everybody complains about are not our roads. The counties and the states. The state has $1.5 billion in their bank for their roads. We get none of. And then some of the money we do get for certain projects and stuff, that's some of that's going to go to the bridge to Walmart, as I discussed last time, over off of behind Woodruff Road, $300 million or $277 million. So I'm going to be voting no on this, but I totally understand where everybody else on council is coming from with the idea of letting people vote. Thank you.
Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the other things that we have to consider as we think about this is obviously the scope of the projects that they're listed. Do we agree with, does that make sense if it moves forward? And the specific amount of money. The other thing I want to be thoughtful about in between first and second reading, if it does or doesn't pass, is whether or not we bond it out or do you do the pay-as-you-go approach? I don't know. I think as I think about it, the thing that concerns me with bonding it is you're bonding it for a term. And eventually, if that term's longer than this, well, somebody got to pay it. So as we consider, if we do consider bonding, how do we term that in a way that we're not subjecting a future council to a sales tax that will sunset, right? So I have zero issue placing the ballot, the question on the ballot to put it in the voters' hands, whether or not they agree. And then for once, my vote can be the same as everyone else's, and I can talk about it as my sole vote, right? But I do think we have to be thoughtful about how we projects and then how we spend it so as to not tie the city past what our bond term is. And that's all I actually have.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Duncan, if you'd like to address.
I was going to say, I'll verify this with bond counsel, but I don't think we would be able to bond it beyond the 8.
And that's what I want to make
Right.
sure of.
I'll double check with Mr. Love. Yeah.
Taft may Google search or chat GPT over there and figure it out, but
I have
That
input.
answer already.
I was just going to make a comment, make sure council is clear that the bond language in the ordinance as written is optional.
okay.
So the highlighted language you see is not required. You could pass the
Right.
proposed referendum without authorizing the issuance of bonds. So that's, I know we're at first reading. That's something for council to think about between now and second reading. But it is optional language.
Which then inherently makes it pay as you go.
Guess that's one way to look at it.
Just food for thought. I guess that's one way to look at it.
Just real quick. And on that, the bond, the pay as you go, I mean, if we get there and we're having that discussion, knowing what we get in a year, make me feel more comfortable if we were to go get a bond. I'm not sure we'd even have the capability of getting all the roads done that fast. You know, the pay as you go may just go align with what we can actually get done, because there is only so many only so much work that can be done in a year. May not even make sense to put a bond out there.
Matt,
I think Ms. King was.
I started back over at seat 1, Mr. Matt.
He's got the gavel. Let him control it.
If we're talking about PAYGO, just as a reminder, 1 lane mile is over $1 million now. So without bonding it out and only using what we would get from the tax on an annual basis, we would be paving roughly a mile a year, a lane mile a year. And I know that y'all are no different than I am, that people come up to us at the grocery store and at restaurants and city events, and they all say the same thing: do something to fix the blank roads. This is an opportunity for us to do that. But more importantly, this is an opportunity for them to have their voices heard and say, this is what we want. They spoke 2 years ago very loudly. And I think that it is up to us to let them have their voices heard one more time, and then do what they tell us to do.
I think Mr. Matney was reading my mind as he was sitting beside me. I just echo what he said about the bond. It just, and I'll add, the cost today is not going to be the cost in 2 years. We all know that. So bring in a little bit of revenue in on a quarterly basis and paying as you go. I'm not sure that's the smartest way, but I would respect our finance director and our city administrator to guide us on that as needed.
Thank you. Clarification, Mr. Matney. Do we have any 1-lane roads in Mauldin?
Some of them feel like it.
Because we have to
Just
ride in the
curving the-
middle to get out of the ruts. Yeah, okay. So just in case y'all want to know, a 2-lane road, which most of us drive on, would be $2 million a mile. It's crazy. I'm still looking for that old saying, what was it? The 2 things that are promised in life, death and taxes. And I own a house here in Mauldin, so I'm gonna get approximately on the projections, $75 back on my taxes for my house next year. But I'm gonna pay an additional penny on everything I buy in the city of Mauldin, except food and medicine. Did we clarify that? So At $75?
Groceries and medicine.
Groceries, I'm sorry. Unprepared for it. Got it. All right, so be sure to say it correctly. So I see Mr. Fraling's point that, but it's verbiage, but we were elected up here to do the good of the city, and this is another tool in the toolbox. And if you don't want to give the citizens a voice to even look at utilizing tool, that's your vote. And you'll have to vote to consider that. Nothing on my right, back on Mr. Frayling.
Just a little correction on the math. We got 19 million coming in over 8 years, over $2 million per year. So we could do both sides of that road.
Thanks, sir.
Last thing I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Reynolds.
My motion was obviously very generic, just to approve this. Do we need to make any changes to make sure we cover the bonding in it as well? Is there anything that I need to change? Okay.
Please,
Okay.
I think it was got it. Motion was proper.
Okay.
Sufficient.
Mr. Mayor, just want to make one clarifying point on the the ordinance and then the bond issuance language. It does say either as a single issuance or as several separate issuances. So it's not a one and done, and it would actually still take a future decision of council to actually issue the bonds. So the question really for tonight is keep the language in there as presented, and then are the projects that are listed of council's desire to, which we could still modify at second reading or prior to second reading if we change our mind.
I can say the intent, what I was trying to be generic with was keep the language as is, as we presented it, ordinance and all, bond is all. That wasn't clearly stated, but
As is before us tonight, the language includes the bonding as a
Correct.
single issue or as several separate issues. As he just clarified, it will be back before this body. Seeing and hearing no other comments, I will ask for the vote on the motion to approve on first reading the 1% sales tax as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Opposed?
The motion carries 4-1. Okay, next item before us is coming from the Standing Committee of Business Development Services. Appointment of board and commissions, that would be Mr. Steenbeck. Mr. Matney, you filling in for him on that?
I am, Mayor. Hold on one quick second. Let me scroll down.
Scrolling. I'm flipping pages.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of the committee, move that Philip Cochran and Manuel Barrientos be appointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
All right, so we're gonna handle the zoning board of appeals first. Phil Cothran and Manuel Reyes. All right, is there a second from?
Second.
Second from Ms. King. Any discussion? Hearing none, the motion before us is to approve the appointment to the, sure I get it right, Mauldin Zoning Board of Appeals, reappoint Mr. Phil Cothran and initial appointment of Manuel Barrientino. Sorry if I messed that up. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Back to you, Mr. Matney.
Thank you, Mayor. Move that Kevin Green, Jonathan Paulson, and Jocelyn Locklear be reappointed to their seats on the Planning Commission.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. King. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the appointments to the Planning Commission, reappointing Kevin Green, Jonathan Paulson, and Shonda Luckier, say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimous. Okay, the next item would come in before us also as a request as committee of the whole. Ms. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to consider the resolution to transfer K-9 to the city of Lawrence by committee of the whole using the informal method.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Matney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion via the informal method to transfer the K-9 to the city of Lawrence stated, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimous. We are back to public comment. No one signed up for that. I don't
Yeah,
believe.
All right, we got to vote.
Vote on the actual
Did the informal method and
resolution.
I thought she put the resolution in as the vote of the informal method.
I think she said to consider it via the.
My bad. I'm jumping ahead. They did it wrong.
He's going all Matney on us tonight.
Yeah, there we
That's-
go. All right. Via the informal method, Ms. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution to transfer the ownership of our K-9 to the city of Lawrence and the Lawrence Police Department. And this K-9 is it VNOL? Okay.
All right, have motion, Ms. King, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Grayling. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. King.
Just quick kind of background on this. I'm sure you all read the packet, but this is a canine that has been with its handler for 7+ years, and staff just thinks it is the best move for the canine to, in most situations, for him to stay with his handler. So Chief Miller and feels the same. So that's the reasoning. And honestly, he would probably be up to be retired soon anyway if he were not transferred. He being the K-9.
Thank you, Ms. King.
And that'd be the only question I have is, are we talking the term of retirement? I read it as it was going to be fairly soon.
Yes.
If he stays here, yes.
Yes.
The resolution to transfer K-9 to the city of Lawrence. Before us, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion to transfer is approved. Now, public comment, non-agenda, we don't have any. Council concerns. Mr. Reynolds.
Just wanted to thank the Zoning Board of Appeals and those guys who were just willing and able to participate in the city's business and be a part of the city's growth. Just thank them. It may be the last time they get thanked for a while. So just formally thank everyone who's was just appointed and willing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. What else? All right, next is a call for executive session. Looks like it centers around economic development. Mr. Madney.
Thank you, Mayor. Move we enter executive session to consider Mauldin Stadium at Bridgeway Station, City Center Village redevelopment and Project Diamond as allowed under Section 30-4-70A2.
Have a motion, Mr. Madney. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. King, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to enter executive session as stated by Mr. Madney, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, we will move upstairs to executive session. You are free to stick around and wait on us to return or go have supper. Might even be breakfast. Thanks.
See.
For anyone still watching online, council reported out of executive session and took no action following executive session and also adjourned from executive session at 9:39. Thanks.